imagine all the things you have to think about as an actor. You're like, will this role affect my overall brand?
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
like we look at it so superficially. It's like, oh, that's a cool movie, but they're thinking about it more strategically. Is like, I'm going to put you in this position to get this next role and that role. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
Especially like when you watch, remember Emily Blunt?
Yeah.
She's Sicario.
Hmm.
She's like a pretty good
She's
actress
a
now,
good.
right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we were watching, right? She's a good actress. But we were watching Confessions of a Shopaholic. She was the secretary. And we were like,
Hmm.
oh, Emily Blunt's in this? Bro, what? And she was playing like the dumbest role.
Right, right, right.
But you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
it's weird. You know, they have to like step ladder
Sure.
themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and when you like watch where they came from, you're like, oh wow, that's great. Or like even the guy from
We watched last night Date Night with Steve Carell and Tina Fey,
okay.
and it was
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
like
Steve Carell too.
yeah, yeah, but it was like so many actors come into that movie, or like
Oh, really?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I forgot.
Oh,
um,
that's interesting.
and even like Bill Burr before Bill Burr was big.
Oh yeah, dude. You remember 40-Year-Old Virgin with Steve Carell too?
Yeah, there was like a scene when it came in. He walked in with the other agent. I forgot her name. She's like a famous black actress, and then she did all the
Yeah.
talking, and then they walked away from the scene. And it's like I was like, oh, Bill Burr didn't even say anything in that scene.
Oh
It
wow.
was
That was
interesting.
just like a filler character. Yeah, that's so interesting. It's like who you know. Like if you look at Kevin Hart's story, I read his book and it's so fascinating to see like he was becoming super famous, he lost all his money and then he had to build himself back up.
Hmm.
Like he got into so much debt. He didn't know about like taxes and all that. And is interesting because like you see that these are all because he's a huge name now, right? You're like, oh, Kevin Hart, oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
seeing how he got there is like, oh man, steps on steps and steps.
Hmm.
It's like
Hmm.
really what you did, you know, to get there. I heard this really crazy um like analogy for it, which is like you're catching up to the future. Our choices right now, like our conscious thought and our actions work together to create the future.
Hmm.
But you never think of it like that. You're just like, oh, yeah, in this moment, I'm just going to do this. In this moment, I'm just going to do this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm going to choose to do this.
yeah.
But then, like, you're literally manifesting a future self
Hmm.
that you're going to meet in the future.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know what
Right.
I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, and then you look back and you're thinking, how did I get here? Oh, I got here through this. But it was through this current moment
Hmm.
that we manifested that moment.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we don't think of life like that. But it's in
And,
all the ancient texts, though. They
hmm.
always talk about it where it's like you're manifesting reality. And it's like people think of that as some crazy esoteric thing, but it's like it's very simple. Just your actions and your thoughts in this moment affect your future,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. True.
And you're seeing it with like, if you like movies are a perfect time capsule of that because you see Kevin Hart now, you see Kevin Hart then, you're like, whoa, totally different.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
I heard this really cool thing about comedians. Actually, I think Kevin Hart said it, where it's like it doesn't matter how bad your movie is as long as you have a good set. Because
Mm,
comedians
okay.
always fall back to their set.
Right.
So as long as their stand up is good, it doesn't matter how bomb the movie goes.
Hmm.
It can be like the worst movie ever, but like you just put in a new set. I mean, I guess that also
It's
works
more
too
about like
for
yeah, retaining an audience, right? Like he's gonna
yeah,
that means he's growing his audience still, retaining his audience. So there's still gonna be some viewership, even if the movie's gonna be bad.
mm, yeah, totally, totally. But then it conversely, it also works with like Will Smith, right? We're all oh laughing stock. He slapped Chris Rock, but then you watch Bad Boys 4 and you're like, who cares about the slap, bro? You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
like you just undid your I don't know past mistakes through your current actions,
Hmm.
which is also like another esoteric thought where it's like you can change who you are in the future. Like your past, it doesn't matter what your past was because you can use the present to steer the future again. You know.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what all of these people, because they talk about it again in spiritual text, but I wonder if that's what all these people that we think of as like standout personas, like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Will Smith, they all knew this. This is like the secret, the real secret.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when people talk about like the
Yeah, yeah,
secret
yeah.
about visualization, it's like, no, this is the real secret, which is your actions can shape the future.
Mm-hmm. True.
Right. And we're just like mesmerized by these people, like, oh my god! But it's like, no, you like, it's a thing that people do.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's so simple.
yeah, yeah,
We just who does it?
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a trippy thought. All right, you know what's also a trippy thought? Anything else about that? I'm gonna ask you my well, not thought experiment, but like
No, no.
your opinion.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
like movies are good in that sense. Seeing the history, then like, oh,
Time
where they
capsules.
were. It's like, oh, I didn't even pay attention to this person. But these are
Yeah, totally,
these are the
totally.
steps they were taking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the best ones are when you see them in like, what do you call that? Not even cameos. It's like their background actors.
Right.
You know, and you're like, oh wait, is that? And then you're like, oh dude, that is. And then, but they didn't, like you said, Bill Burr didn't say anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like now they're in Star Wars. Bill Burr's in Star Wars,
Hmm.
but he's a comedian. So,
Yeah.
have you seen the Acolyte?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I'll wait for
Okay.
the rest of the episodes, but there's a lot of controversy stuff going around it. So,
Oh really? Oh, okay, okay. No, I was gonna say I didn't watch it, but like I saw the actors, and it was like the Squid Games person, the
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Logan.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh wow, there you go again. It's like
Well, yeah,
because you wonder what happened
there's
to Logan's
true,
girl,
true. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, that's what she's doing now.
Hmm.
Yeah, what were you saying? Controversies?
Just like the story wise, I think there's. I haven't seen it
Okay,
myself. Yeah, just because it's a Disney made
oh,
one, I'm
okay.
not sure if there's Star Wars fans are not liking it. Supposedly,
Oh, interesting. It's
yeah,
like not canon. Oh, okay. Too bad.
we'll see.
Okay, okay. All right. So, now I'm gonna ask you my thing. So this was tripping me out like 2 days ago,
Hmm.
and I was like, again, it has to do with time, like this moment into that moment. But like, how far do you look into the future? You personally?
Into the future,
Yeah, you know what I mean. Actually, wait,
it
pause for a second.
depends.
There. Okay. Let me put context around that. So I was listening to this person, uh, Billy Carson, again, the guy from Joe Rogan, who's talking about ancient civilizations. So
Okay.
I've just been deep diving into his podcast because he's so interesting. And he was saying that another esoteric thing that a lot of ancient people knew was that you can like you can develop the ability to peer into the future, see what steps there are to get to that future, and then actualize those steps in this moment.
Hmm.
Okay. And he was like pairing that with the ability to act and be consciously aware of your thoughts in this moment to shape your future. Like what I was just saying, right? So like time, we perceive it, we experience time in the now, but we can jump through time in our minds, and
Hmm.
you can develop this ability to like see the future and work backwards. Okay, so it sounds hella esoteric, right? You're like, oh, dude, that sounds like some magic stuff. We literally do it all the time,
Hmm.
but we just forgot that ability. It's like like when you're an inventor, or like on a small scale, you're like a creator. You're like,
Hmm.
okay, I want to create this design, and then like I tell people all the time that I'm actually designing in my head before I even design it on the computer.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like you know what I mean? You're
yeah.
like they're like watching me just be like, hmm. And then I'm just thinking about like, okay, I can move this here. Okay, what about this? And I'm like, oh, got it. And then I'll just like quickly make it. Like, oh, you're so fast. But I'm like, no, but I spent like 20, 30 minutes thinking about it
Right.
before I actually made it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. But isn't that exactly what he was describing?
Hmm. Yeah.
Right. So these are very simple things that we have the ability to do, but we just don't practice them. You know, when we talk about like forgotten knowledge,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
like skills that we used to have. People are like, oh, we used to be telepathy. Like, we used to be telepathic. We used to move objects with our mind. It's like, sure, but there are very simple things that you could do right now that you've totally missed out on, which is like pre-planning. We just
Hmm.
call that pre-planning now,
Yeah, yeah.
peering into the future, right? Um, okay, so with all that, again, like, how often do you use that ability? Aside from like little projects, you know, like do you forecast out like 5 years in the future? Like people are like, oh, 10 years from now I want to be here. 5 years now I want to be here. You know?
Uh, in some way, yeah. It depends on the thing, I guess. What you're
Okay,
specifically
so like
thinking
how?
about or talking about. Like I like
Okay, so how far?
we're saying like where you think your future will be in 5 years, or uh, like where my position in my job is going to be in 5 years, or like
Sure.
yeah, these
Like
are
that's what you think about. Like you
that's what I'm
use
saying.
that
It
skill.
depends. Yeah, it depends on what I'm. Yeah, like what am I doing to make sure that in those 5 years I'm more than knowledgeable or prepared for it. Right, I'm doing things already right now for that.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 So now let's. So that's a very pragmatic thing. Like, yeah, totally. But now let's take it to the ultra extreme.
Okay.
Okay. So I had totally forgotten about, not forgotten about this, but like, I don't neglected this ability. So 3 days ago, I was like, I couldn't escape my mind, but I was really thinking about the fact that, and it was through like reels that my sister sent me of like um, one day will be the last day that you fill your dog's water bowl. And I was like,
Hmm.
damn. And then I started to miss like Athena. I was like, oh, dude, like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then like I started to think past that. I was like, one day will be the last day you say goodbye to your parents. One
Yeah,
day
yeah,
will
yeah.
be the last day.
I've had that. Yeah,
Bro.
yeah, I've had that.
Oh my.
I
All right, all
this
right.
always
So,
happens to
okay,
me
cool, cool,
when
cool.
I watch. I
I'm
forgot
so
which.
glad. I'm so glad.
Oh no, no, yeah, it's not just you. It was like a months ago when that
I was
happened.
tripping hard,
I was
bro.
watching. I forgot what movie it was, but it was like after the movie, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my parents. Like it was like that,
Yeah,
and I
bro.
was like the next day I went there just to hang out, but nobody knew what was the reason. It was just like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, 100%. 100%. And okay, so yes, 100%. That's so funny that we both felt it. And
mm,
it's like this unlocking of the mind to see the future so far in advance, it's detrimental, but it pushes you to appreciate the moment.
yeah, 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 it does.
Because then I was like, oh, dude, I'm gonna like go play with Athena. But you know what happened? So like, because you know how she spends like Wednesday to Friday at my parents' house. So like, I went there yesterday. I was like petting her. She literally kicked me in the chest and walked away. I was like petting her, and I was like, bro, you don't understand though. You don't understand that you know what I mean? But it's like, because she's not using that ability,
Sure.
but I'm using that ability,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like you're saying with like, you're like, oh, Vish is hanging out with us, but it's like, no, I'm using the ability,
yeah. Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
And imagine the type of world, like the type of existence, because we're talking about how your actions in this moment will affect your future. What if we all just thought with that kind of scarcity mindset?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
I think
mean?
in that sense, yeah, we'd be more grateful for things that we have that we end up forgetting about, right? In general,
Totally.
um, then there would be more. I'd say I don't know. Maybe it'll cause more care in the world. I don't know if that's
Right.
altruistic thinking,
Dude,
right? I
for
think that
real
would be.
though. No, no, for real though, right? Because you'd be like, oh man, well, this isn't going to last forever. Like,
hmm
I should just appreciate my time with you
hmm
in this moment.
Yeah.
But then you get really scared because then I was like, well, there's also going to be a time, like, let's say I outlive everyone.
hmm
And then now all your friends are dead, your partner's dead, your parents are dead. You're like, what am I doing here?
hmm
And I can understand how somebody in that position would be like, what's the point? Because like every support
Yeah,
system is gone.
and I mean, you're thinking about that yourself, but there's already a person that probably is living that right now.
I know. I know. Trippy. Trippy. I know. And then, but then that gives you the compassion to be like, let me go hang out with that person.
Yeah,
Let me like show some.
yeah.
Okay. So I think this is the secret to building. But all right, wait, hold on. Maybe it's not the secret. Maybe it's like, because you can be a wizard or a sorcerer.
hmm
So this is the magic that we're seeing right now. Okay. And a wizard is a positive sorcerer, or yeah, the positive of the sorcerer,
hmm
a wizard. So we know this. So it's like, okay, you change your reality and you become a wizard. You spread positive vibes. Or you know this and then you're like, well, I just want to hoard it then. If it's not all gonna like I want my bloodline to
Sure.
be and then it's the same magic, but now you're the sorcerer who's like trying to take away from everyone
Mm-hmm.
because you want it for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
But I think this is the magic. Like this temporal jumping, whereas we live every day as like monotonous routine, monotonous routine. But if you're jumping temporally,
Mm-hmm.
like you think about the past, you're like, oh, I got here through here. I think I actually think that's like our greatest gift that most other animal, like the one defining thing that animals have, that we have that animals don't have, which is temporal reality,
Right.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is no time for there's like habits and routines, but there's no time. They're not thinking about the past.
Right.
And like that's where we get tripped up, which is like depression and anxiety. Depression is you thinking about the past, anxiety is you're thinking about the future
Mm-hmm.
in a negative sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You're just stuck in
And
those moments and you can't come back to present reality.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.